say, a lot of people are going to hear my testimony and you're going to say you're anti-LGBTQ. I want to say that's impossible because I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. So obviously I have a lot of gay pride. But, you know, a lot of conservatives like yourself, you want to outlaw transgenders in women's sports. I disagree. I like transgenders in women's sports because you can gamble on them and win money. You know, I won so much money on Leah Thomas's propeller in that pool. I almost turned draft kings, into draft queens. And, you know, I actually like transgenders in the military, too, because, first of all, transgenders are some of the meanest people on planet Earth, so they'd make a good soldier, don't you think? And then, you know, second of all, transgenders love to do mass shootings. So, you know, that's perfect for a military veteran. And then on top of that, the suicide rate is incredibly high among transgender people. So we could just use them like the Taliban has suicide bombers. Maybe you guys can actually, you know, if you commit suicide, actually help us in the battlefield. So that would be good. So I think we need transgenders in the military and women's sports. Now, when we come to the bathroom bill, though, this is an asymmetrical problem. Because, first of all, no dude cares if, like, a bisexual woman comes in there and tries to use, like, a pee funnel. You know, if some lady boy comes in there, some, you know, stud comes in there, wants to pee in the urinal. No guy's going to be threatened by, you know, a trans woman. But we don't want these gargoyles in a dress, you know, some chick with a dick coming in there and trying to pee or poop next to my girlfriend, because that's disgusting. And, well, I was going to say something. Listen, I have my First Amendment right. Let me just speak. So, we're sick of these transgenders trying to invade women's personal spaces. These people have autogynephilia, they're sexual perverts, and they actually get satisfaction from going there and looking under a stall. So these are mentally ill people that are on hormones, that are on all kinds of pills, they're impulsive, and they do not belong in a women's restroom. So if some of you lesbians want to come in and pee next to me, you're more than welcome. So we just don't let the chicks with dicks in the women's room, and you guys are all welcome in the men's room. I think that works.
Thank you very much.
Wow. He kind of like came out very soft. He almost lulled them to sleep with a subtle humor. And then he just went the absolute other way. I was actually thinking the other day, have the parasitic political elite always been pedophiles and we just didn't have access to information? Or is this just a new thing? Because I know in the UK, they were massive scandals throughout the 80s and 90s, but you just didn't really hear about it. And then now you do. And I just think because the internet and information, but even the internet and the information is slowly getting, you know, siphoned away. I do believe that we're going to kind of enter a entertainment utopia with AI, because it will, on one hand, collapse Hollywood, but on the other, make way for just your normal Joe imagination, you know, telling Chat GPT or whatever the program is, make a movie like this based on what I did over here, and make it look like Goodfellas, and blup, that's what they'll do. And so we'll have an onslaught of entertainment that's not, you know, coming out of this narrative-based ideological barrel that Hollywood became. You know, Hollywood basically killed itself, just appeasing to woke and whatnot, and now everyone's kind of turning against it, and they can't make any more money, and that's what happens in a pseudo-free market. You know, you make mistakes, nobody buys your stuff, right? And so that's what we're seeing. What else? What was that thing? Yeah, this is why I made that controversial thumbnail. Trump admitted to withhold disaster funding for states, cities that boycott Israel. The weird thing about this is that inevitably all regimes overstep their bound. Like they're always pushing. They're always pushing, and people are going, well, I'll give it a shot, and then pushing. Well, yeah, you know, we'll let them work, and then they push it. Hey, we'll wait. But I think this was the weird one, because it's like, if you exchange Israel for any other country, it sounds crazy. If you exchange Israel for any other product, it sounds crazy. You know, like in my mind, the last free, pseudo-free, more free than Canada or country is the United States. So if you can't boycott anything or something, that's one of, you know, your First Amendment rights, isn't it? You can, you know, I don't want to eat vegetables anymore. I'm boycotting vegetables. I'm just eating steak That's it. I'm boycotting all. Like, if you interchange that choice with Israel for anything, it gets weird. Like, to me, as a lonely Canuck up here in Kanadistan, it seems weird to me that that would be a something a president would say to people, and people be okay with that. See, but I give people the benefit of the doubt. As sleepy as the mass population is, there are things that wake them up. Every one of us had something that woke us up. Something happened in our life that woke us up out of the bubble, right? I think this one might be that thing. For me, I've told the story before, but when I was trading currency, I was also recording, and I looked for Pro Tools 7 a tutorial. They just ripped it. That was back in the day where you could, rip off all the hardware and software and stuff like that. Whatever you wanted, you could just find on LimeWire or whatever. So I got Pro Tools 7, but I wanted a tutorial while I was waiting for trades. And on the suggested box came, why did Building 7 fall? And to me, that was my moment. That it's like everything was different after that. Once I asked that question, wait a second, why did Building 7 fall? Because I never even thought of it. I never even thought twice about it. That's how weird, how naive and innocent, some of us, including myself, back in those times were. That a building could just free fall for no reason, and it would just be like, oh yeah, I guess something hit it. I don't know. I guess, I guess it was damaged. It must have, it just free fell into its own whatever it is, blueprint. I guess that's right. Anyway, that's what, seriously changed my life. I just was never the same after that. I ended up questioning everything, and it can be I want to say lonely existence, but you don't take a lot of passengers in that car, So when you start looking at things, asking questions that, people don't, a lot of people ask the questions in their mind subconsciously, but they don't want to really go down that road, because then you got to hop into my car, right? And then, people are screaming at you when you're driving down the highway. Yeah. So it can be weird, but I mean, is what ultimately led me to Bitcoin and sound money, because once you see the distortions in reality, like, well, what else is distorted? And it turns out almost everything. Basically everything that I've ever learned has been distorted. So it gets easier, because you just do do the opposite of what the government says. It's really quite easy. On the 4-hour chart, you can see, we're still really doing nothing. We had a little bit of a dip, which we talked about. We talked about this dip. We didn't quite get to 11.3, but we were at $1,000 away. I don't like that. I would have liked to stamp the ticket down here, because this is where once upon a time, this was July 17th, we put this Head and Shoulders into motion. And of course, it took a while, took a run at it. Boom, got some support, and then finally broke down. We didn't get everywhere we wanted to go. I would have liked to see it stamp the ticket down at this line of support, just to fulfill the gods of the Head and Shoulders pattern. But it didn't. So it's making me think, geez, we might. I don't know. We can't get above this. We're soon going to get the 20 and the 50 moving average underneath the 200 moving average. Right, here's the 50, here's the 20, here's the 200. So we will again be the two slower moving averages under the 200 moving average. Not hella bullish. Well, let's see the last time we were that. This is on the 4-hour chart, mind you. So it was way back here. Yeah, this was indicative of lows, right? So the last time the 50 and the 20 were underneath the 200 moving average, we basically went down to 99K. So let's see here. if we take where the 50 were officially, both of them were underneath the 200, we saw a 7% dip. So, fractaliciously speaking, if we were to see a 7% dip from here, let's say it rolls over about here, and we're still at the, let's say here, 7% from 114. Kidding me? This is not big enough. God damn it. 7% from 114 would be about 106, a 107. I know what you're thinking. Quit putting these out there. All your probabilities are so damn correct. Well, thank you. They're just correct because I don't care where the price goes. I'm not in it. I'm not here to convert it into Canadian currency if it goes up to 150. Oh yeah, 150. I'm gonna sell some into worthless Canadian garbage. So that's what would happen, and that's what did happen the last time the 50 and the 20 rolled over the 200. Not saying it will, just saying it has, and it could. Over on the Ding Dong, we're moving farther and farther away from our channel of ascension. We really got to be there. We really got to be there. Because this is what's going to happen here with this scenario. Now, we'll get to how third quarters work in 2021, because I took a look at that. It's pretty interesting. But now that we've broken down and we've, what did we say last week? Well, we'll likely, maybe retest the 61.8% fib. So what did we do? We shot a wick down, then we closed slightly under it, then we opened, and boom, we got that bounce. I don't want to see it retest it. I just want to put it in as official bounce and get on with our lives, because another bounce or another test may break through. So if it did break through, what we'd be looking at is something like this. We retest it, break through, and go way down to that 107, right? That's where the next part would be. And then we build out this, which looks like a head and shoulders pattern. Now, moving into September, right, which is historically pretty bad. Yeah, Matty B, don't you know to be bullish? Like, God damn it. Nobody cares about where the price is going down. Neither do I. You take the pull, you slide it all to the breakout point. Then we're all at down by the 200 moving average, where we generally go. This would be 98. Let's call it 99. Where's the 200? 99.4. Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't be insanely out of the narrative to hit that. What type of retracement would that be if we actually did it? Would it be a 30%er? Almost. Let's go from wick to predict. 20%. Yeah. So it's still just 20%. It's not the biggest deal. And you can see how that would play out. Look at being up here is a little bit more of an anomaly than down here. We spent forever here. This was May all the way till the beginning of July. That's 2 months. Seemed like a long time. Seemed like this was another really good like string out shakeout for the boredom, for people who are bored. Like this is it's such a funny concept to me. People get bored and sell. I just don't understand it. But this is enough. So imagine where would we be? Is this October 1st? No, we're still not. So take a look at this, ladies and gentlemen. If we did this, we fractaliciously broke down and did that 7% dump that we did the last time the 50 and the 20 moved over the 200. We would come down to here, and this is August, generally a shit month in all markets. There's a caveat, asterisk. But even if we just went down here and boredom again, because we're at the same level, right? We were at this forever, this 17108. This is when, people like me are like, I'm going to sleep in. I'm not even going to make a video. What the hell for? It's like, oh, the price is the same. Anyway, if we get all the way to the end of August, this is where we would be. We would have built out a perfect Head and Shoulders pattern. And then now we would basically drop down to here for September. Remember, September is, if August isn't the worst, September is the worst. Arguably, they're both pretty shitty, but September has a more marquee shit month type thing. People, what do they call September? It's definitely not October. They have some name for it. I don't know. And anyway, so let's continue this down to September, down to the 200 moving average. Everyone's scared. This is the final rinse out of the boredom and the scared. I guess because we're now down to 100K. See, I told you 100K we're going down. And then September, there we go. October 1st, that would be the beginning of the end of this weak moment. Now, I don't think the Bitcoinosphere has the patience for this, but that's what the market does. You see, it doesn't want all these retail plebs and normies like you and me in the market. They don't want to take us on the greatest ride of financial history. They want to shake you out of boredom. This is all metaphorically speaking, because there really is no side. Like there's definitely not heavy hitters going, we got to get those plebs out. We got to get those normies out. No, we're basically like shadows in this whole financial market. We don't even exist to them. The fact that, what is it? 60% are retail holders. That is a lot. That is a lot, but it's so sparse in the big scheme of the population. The fact that 60% hold one or less Bitcoin or 10% of a Bitcoin, it's just, they don't care. It's not on the boardroom tables. What about those retail plebs? We should scare them out. That's never being talked about. We should really rinse them out with boredom. It's just the way the market works. And there's no real nefarious humans involved in it. As fun as it is to think that there are nefarious humans. Now speaking of the monthly chart, Peter John LaRume, you're right. Traditional finance, real estate, precious metals, fiat currency, it all bleeds into Bitcoin. Yeah, and it takes a long time. I mean, everything in retrospect, like think about where we were 15.5 a year and a half ago or 2 years ago or whatever. Now it's been 2 years, we've all aged 2 years. We've all given up 2 years of our life, but it doesn't seem that long, does it? So if you look 2 years out from here, we're on the way up again into the next cycle's bull run. That's where we'll be in 2 years. And then Peter John's right. Traditional finance, real estate, precious metals, fiat currency will start bleeding into Bitcoin. And then we will see there's just this constant leg up, boredom, leg up, boredom, leg up. So what really attracted the normies and the plebs is the spectacular price action. I mean, it's just the charts are the marketing aspect for all the normies, because they know, well, why do I want to, invest into something that just goes up 10%? I can't even see it in like a yearly chart, but you can definitely look at Bitcoin and see where your life would have changed. Oh my God, my life would have been so different if that just happened. But if we take a look at the Q3 of 2021, the last bull run cycle, you can see that we entered low and had a pretty awesome Q3, which, generally you don't in all other parts of the cycle. We had a 70% pump. We exited Q3 70% up. And then we also, before we peaked finally again, we put in another 25%. So 100% from the bottom of Q3. Now, if we go back to where we are now, and we fractaliciously speaking, holy DOS Peach, I haven't seen you in a while. If we fractaliciously speaking, put in 70% for Q3, arguably more than Q4 last time. So let's just do that. Let's go fractaliciously speaking. We come in here. We start Q3 here. We go up 70%. Jesus, I knew it was going to be just slightly too off the page. Here we go. 70% from here. There it is. 183. Let's put that here so we have a little historic. 183K, which is 70%. Put it where at 183. Yeah, so that's where we would end off Q3 if we follow the last cycle's bull run. Now people are, you hear it everywhere. The cycle's broken. But I heard this last time. I heard this last time that the cycle's broken. And there's always a couple things that can bring the cycle back in the sense of the mass capitulation, the mass sell-off, the fear, the blow off top or whatever. There's always situations, and it's the humble opinion of this piano that the situation would be zombie companies and their treasuries. So when you have these worthless companies that have $10 million that they're just holding on to for dear life, and then, well, I'll put it into Bitcoin, they won't be able to handle a drawdown, and then they'll start selling, and then there's a contagion. You know how we've been through it. This is how it works. That could bring on, will it be an 80% downturn like last time, or 75%? I don't know. If I was a probabilitarian and a pattern recognitionist, which I am, I would say that we've had the diminishing returns on the downside. I think we went from 90 to 70 or 75 or something. So let's just call it 60, right? If we were to come up to 60. So this is what we did last time. Let's add another 25% to this. From 183. And we're at 228. Or let's call it 230. All right, I'm at 230. 230. So let's just say it plays out like that. And then we get a 60% drawdown based on all the treasury companies not being able to handle the drawdown and just being forced sellers, right? It's not that they can't handle it. They'll just become forced sellers. Let's see where a 60% drawdown from here takes us. 82K. Yeah. Imagine that'd be pretty, that'd be a tough one, actually. Is that right? From 230? Yeah, that's got to be right. 60%? Yeah, half of 230. 60% down from here is about 88K. Now, it would be pretty depressing to be back under 100K, right? A lot of plans would be ruined for people. They're kind of back to where, less than we are now. Won't bode well for the masses. But that's where the next maybe life-changing buying opportunity would ever come under 100K. It's still arguably a little bit too much for the normies to really wrap their minds around, because they'll be like, well, 80K, what? I'll just buy fart coin, right? It still won't. Peter John LaRoom, bear market under 100K, the opportunity of a lifetime. Yeah, opportunity of a lifetime for those in the know. Everyone here, everyone watching this channel or any Bitcoin channel, they'll understand that it is the last train to Clarksville. But to the normal pleb who thought they missed, they're still waiting on 8K. The reality is they're all waiting on 8,000. Then they'll buy, and then it'll hit 8,000 and be like, well, maybe I'll go to 4K. So 80K is out of their, they're never going to get exposure to 80K, nor do they care. They just think it's some sort of big rock now that doesn't do it. Now the narratives of it has no value, it doesn't do anything, echo in their, it just echoes into financial eternity. Make sure you like and subscribe and share this video.